Hey everyone and welcome back. Now in the earlier video we were discussing about the high level overview about the lab architecture that we'll be following throughout the course. Now in terms of lab architecture, as we were discussing, we'll be making use of a primary operating system of CentOS 8 and cloud provider of DigitalOcean. So in today's video we'll go ahead and provision our first server so that we can go ahead and install console in the later videos. So currently I am logged in to my DigitalOcean console. So if you are using DigitalOcean, it would look something similar to this. So what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a new project over here. So let me just call it as console associate, and the purpose, let me just use it for educational purpose, and I'll go ahead and create a project. So this part is optional in case if you want to use it or not. So generally, because we have multiple courses, one for Kubernetes and so on, we have multiple projects for better segregation here. Now, what would happen? The first thing that you need to do is you have to go ahead and create a droplet. Now, one interesting thing that you will notice is that different cloud provider has a different way of naming a specific virtual machine. So in AWS, if you have used, it is called as the EC2 instance. In DigitalOcean, it is called as a droplet. So ultimately, they both mean the same thing. It's just that the naming convention is different. So in DigitalOcean, just remember that droplet is nothing but the virtual machine here. So let's go ahead and create our first droplet. Now in terms of the operating system, we'll be making use of CentOS 8. It can be 8.2, 8.1. So the major version should be 8. Now within the plan over here, we'll be making use of this $5 instance here, which provides 1 GB of RAM, 1 CPU, 25 GB of SSD disk, and 1 TB of data transfer. So let's select the $5 instance. Again, since this is an hourly pricing, the hourly pricing is 0.007 per hour. So even after you delete the droplet after few hours, you will be charged only at an hourly rate there. So once then, the next part is to go ahead and select the appropriate region which is near to your location. So in my case, since I am located out of India, I'll be using the Bangalore one. The next one is the SSH key. This is important primarily because you'll have to log in. Now there are two ways in which you can log in to the instance. One is through SSH key and second one is through password. So it is always better to have a SSH key. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a new SSH key here. So what it will ask you to do is you have to add a public key. So in order to generate the public key, on the right hand side, it is showing you the commands here. So let's quickly try it out. So within the Windows, I'll be making use of a mobile extern tool for SSH. So if you do SSH over here, you basically are getting the basic options here. Now along with that, even my Windows 10 terminal has a SSH. So if I just do SSH over here, it is available. So in case if you're making use of Windows 10, you can go ahead and explicitly enable SSH. If you're making use of Mac, you do not really have to do anything. In the terminal, the SSH client is installed by default. Great. So to generate the key, what you'll have to do is you have to run the command of SSH keygen. All you have to do is you have to just press enter, and that's about it. Your key is created under the .ssh directory. So let's quickly go to the .ssh directory here. And if you'll do ls-l on id_rsa.pub, this is the key that is created. So let's quickly do a cat on this key and let's copy this up. And within the DigitalOcean, I'll paste the key over here and let me just call it as console key for easy reference. Alright, so our console key is selected. So that basically means that the server that will be created, the console key, which is the public key, will be automatically added as part of the authorized keys. The next thing is how many droplets you want to create. So if you want to create more droplets, you can just select the button over here. So the hostname of this machine, let's call it as console01. So this is the hostname that we'll be using. Once then you can go ahead and create a droplet here. So generally it takes a minute to go ahead and create a droplet. So let's quickly wait for a moment here. Great. So our server is now running. So here you'll see that a public IP is associated with it. So in case if you're making use of AWS, make sure that a public IP or elastic IP is connected to the EC2 instance. So let's go ahead and copy the IP here. So now from the CLI, let's go ahead and quickly connect to the server. Great. So now we are connected to our server with the user of root. Now sometimes it can happen that your droplet is within the running state. However, you are still not able to SSH. So sometimes it can take 2 to 3 minutes for everything to come up, post which you will be able to do SSH to the droplet. Great. So our first Linux server based on CentOS is up and running. Now the next step that we'll look into is the overall installation process for console. However, that is something that will be going ahead in the next video. So with this, we'll conclude today's video.